Hello, I'm your host Jim McClean. Welcome back to another episode of the Banterflix Movie Review Show. Let's see what we'll be talking about tonight. We'll see if Tony Scott's Top Gun can still take our breath away as it flies back into cinemas to mark its 40th anniversary. We'll see if our pick of the streams, Aphex, is worth watching on Netflix. And we'll wrap up as we chat about Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is heading back to the big screen as part of Cineworld's Spielberg season. So that's what we've lined up for you this week. Joining me in the studio here, the lovely Bill Taylor.
Hi, Jim.
And Richard Davis. Richard, it is great to have you back. We haven't had you on for quite some time, so good to get you here now in Super 4K, 6K in our lovely new studio. Great to have you back, Richard.
The pleasure's all mine.
Well, we have a packed show, so let's move on and talk about some movie news.
Welcome to the first day of our last film. What are you feeling? I'm sad.
Does it make you sad, Chris?
No, I'm not in touch with my emotions.
I would like to introduce you to our new cast member, Larry!
Nice to meet you all. Big fans.
Oh my gosh, he got you!
Give me a
break
bucket
your
of water
hand.
so I can throw it on Larry. 25 years and we haven't learned a goddamn thing.
So that's a look at the trailer for Jackass, the best and supposedly last, the fifth outing for Johnny Knoxville and co. Bill, when we knew we had you on the show, because you very kindly stepped in, we had a last-minute person who dropped out, and who are you going to call? Not Batman, not the Ghostbusters, but Bill Taylor. And you are with Ghostbusters NI, so that kind of works. But as you are with The Sixth Sense, I thought this would be right up your street, and you gleefully informed me as we sat down in the studio to record, you've seen this trailer. So are you excited by a fifth movie in this franchise, cinematic franchise as it is now, like Star Trek? They've moved from the small screen to the big screen, started all those years ago with MTV, back in my student days anyway. Are you excited for a fifth movie in the Jackass series?
You can't hold me back, Jim. I am absolutely busting to see this. I've saw all four of them. I watched the Dirty Sanchez movie. I've watched all of this sort of stuff my whole life. I cannot wait. I just love watching what they get up to. I laugh out loud. They're constant rewatches for me as well. There would be like my sort of safety watches. You know, if I'm sitting painting a wee man of a night or building models or something.
And just to clarify, that's a miniature.
That's a miniature.
Yeah.
I'd stick something off in the background and you end up sitting watching it. That's Jackass all over. Fantastic stuff. Even the TV shows, amazing.
So what we're pretty much saying is Johnny and co, they have your money for the cinema ticket right already.
They're straight into the bank account.
You're straight
there.
I have had a kind of bit of a love-hate relationship with Jackass. I kind of fell out of love with it for a little while. And there is sometimes Jackass, they take it just maybe a little bit too far, but there's other times it does make me properly laugh from the belly. So I am looking forward to this with trepidation. Now we are going to move on in a minute because there's something else I'm a little bit trepidatious about. But Richard, you've actually informed me before we start to record, you've never seen not one of these movies. So you have four movies in this series to watch before we even get to the fifth. And maybe from listening to Bill, maybe you're going to go home this evening and say, right, I've got to start watching these Jackass movies.
Or maybe some kind cinema somewhere will do like a just marathon, all the films. I don't know, what would that be, like 10, 12 hours? You know, that's the way to see it, I think. You know, we're going to talk about Top Gun later.
On the big screen, that's how Johnny and co wanted it to be seen, with the best sound system.
Are there stunts now in the Oscars? Did they put them in? Could they win an Oscar?
I think
best
can call
film.
They do stunts.
I think they're stuntmen.
I have to say, Richard, the third one is a particular highlight because it's high frame rate for a lot of it. So they
Right.
slow down.
Okay.
They slow down some of the. It's amazing.
So there we go. Maybe we've predicted it already. Maybe 2027 might be the year that Jackass, we'll not say wins an Oscar, but possibly is nominated for an Oscar. Now,
Wins. We're saying wins, Jim.
okay. We're going to be brave. We're going to be big and bold. So Jackass next year may possibly win an Oscar. Who knows? But look, I said there's another trailer's been released for something I'm a little bit trepidatious about. But without any further ado, let's play a little clip to see what we're talking about.
You're a world away, but you stay on the side. I know you by your heart, I will call you by your name. And it's a long way from the crack to the grave. You know that I remember everything.
Ted is back, and this time he's going to be coaching a women's team. Back here. So, Bill, I'm certain you've watched this. Yeah. Like me, season 3 kind of give us the Wayne's World super happy ending. Everybody had a positive outcome, and it just wrapped everything up nice and neatly. But yet, clearly, demand is there from Apple, from fans. They want more. They want more at Richmond.
Yeah, I think I would have the same kind of concerns as yourself. I think the way that it all ended, it was perfect, nice 3 seasons, perfect bingeable bubble of a show. I think the 4th season, I hope I'm wrong, but I do think it's maybe a step too far, season too much.
I hope I'm pleasantly surprised as well, because as I say, I am nervous. It's something I genuinely love. Richard, again, maybe with Jackass, have you dipped out? Are you a fan of Ted Lasso?
Football is life, Jim.
Especially when you're a Spurs fan.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was gonna bring that up. We'll have to see about this season 4. Could it be a case of like Toy Story 3, Toy Story 4? But then now there's a Toy Story 5. So maybe Ted will come back again and manage Tottenham next year.
Hey,
Believe.
If and trust me, having had Brian Mulholland on the show a couple of weeks ago, I guess that's what a lot of Tottenham fans are hoping on to. Just the belief they will be in the Premier League next year. But we are not a football show. That's already covered here in this studio. Let's move on. Those are our shows and movies that are going to be out later this year. But let's move on and talk about something that we've all seen that's on the big screen.
Maverick, you've been called back to Top Gun.
Good morning, aviators. This is your captain speaking.
What you do up there is larger than life.
Talk to me, Goose.
Talk to me, Goose.
This is where you belong.
I'm a fighter pilot. It's not what I am. It's who I am.
So that's a look at the trailer for Top Gun, celebrating its 40th anniversary. It's flying back onto the big screen. Maverick, I know last week in the show we were talking about the fact that a 3rd movie is now officially in the works, unsurprisingly, since the huge success of Top Gun Maverick, which I know is also being back, is also coming back into cinemas. And if you missed it first time round on the IMAX, definitely get to check out Maverick. And I think Top Gun might be getting an IMAX release. I could be wrong on that front. Don't quote me. But here it is. Tony Scott's bona fide 80s classic. It's back. Bill, does it still take your breath away?
You do this to me all the time, Jim. You always get me to talk about films that I'm too young for. Yeah, I mean it's Top Gun. It's an absolute iconic film. I don't think anything I can say can give it the justice and put it on the pedestal that it deserves. It is an absolute fantastic. I love the music in it. The music, I mean, Danger Zone, all day, every day. Anecdotally, I'm in a little music league at the minute, and I just submitted Danger Zone as the music round, so I'm hoping for good points. But yeah, I mean, it's Tom Cruise doing Tom Cruise action movie stuff. It's amazing. It still holds up to this day. I love the second one. I think I like the second one more than the first one. But, I mean, the first one is still iconic. I mean, you said it, 80s. It's just pure 80s nonsense.
Yeah.
Really, isn't it?
And you've also got just that volleyball sequence. That, you know, we can spend as much or as little time as we want to talk about it.
Looking at me.
But, you know, hey, tops off and we'll play some volleyball outside. But
hanging with the boys, Jim.
No, he's lost that loving feeling.
Hey, take me to bed or lose me forever, guys. But it's a film that always puts a smile on my face, partially because you've got that big Tom Cruise grin that's there, the aviators, the soundtrack, as you mentioned, some of the dialogue. It is pure cheese, but you said something, Bill, that for me, rewatching this has definitely got me saying I need this, because I don't think I've ever seen Top Gun in the cinema. I'm not sure. I know it has been back over the years, and we were just talking, Richard, before we started the episode, that I know a couple of, like Belfast Film Festival has screened it in the past with some site-specific screenings, but visually, I think, as you mentioned, but it holds up pretty well. I mean, there's other movies from the 80s look very dated by today's standards, but that's a credit. I feel a lot of that goes down to Tony Scott. But that's just me. Richard, what about you? The first two things we've talked about, you haven't really watched too much. Surely, you know, as Bill mentioned, Top Gun must take you to the danger zone.
It's just a fantastic movie all around. Like, you know, puts a smile on your face. It's got an emotional story. And you mentioned Tony Scott. Tony Scott only made beautiful films. Like, he's right up there with Ridley Scott, I think. Like, you know, watch the opening 2-3 minutes of Top Gun. It's fantastic visuals and music. And it's kind of got everything you'd want in a blockbuster movie about fighter pilots. And what a cast. Like, the ensemble cast, even like the small bit players, like Meg Ryan's got like 2 scenes. And love Anthony Edwards as Goose. What a great tandem. You know, there's so much in it, like, and it just never gets old. You can put it on, you know, any day of the week. And I hope to see it, maybe both of them back to back. I believe you can do that in IMAX. Top Gun Maverick is the first film I ever saw in IMAX. And it's also great. Top Gun Death Star Trench Run, as I like to call it, which, you know, if you're not stealing from the best, then you're not trying.
Yeah, Top Gun Maverick is definitely a film that was machine tooled, and I think it was perfectly timed. We were coming out of the kind of the early stages of the pandemic, and it was just a film that had to be seen on the big screen with the best sound system. And I will disappointedly say that Top Gun Maverick was the second film I saw on IMAX. My first was West Side Story. And I know we're going to be talking about Steven Spielberg later, and that, as fabulous as that was, Top Gun Maverick definitely, you know, no pun intended, it took my breath away. But look, that is our first movie of the week. That's something that you can still watch at home if you so wish, but the opportunity is now to see it on the big screen. Let's move on and talk about something that you can watch on streaming.
You going out alone? I wouldn't recommend it.
I'm trying to get to Grand Isle Narrows.
Do you want the easy way or the hard way?
The best way.
Think you can handle it?
Yeah, I think I can handle it.
You made it! It's me from the gas station.
Hey.
You having fun?
Something got into my gear last night and took everything.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a drastic bummer. You hungry?
Just kind of looking for that gear.
So look, it's very simple. You've got until the very end of this song to get as far away from me as you can. You got the right shoes on? You'll be fine.
Everybody got a target tonight. Everybody come along for the ride. Deadly sharp shooting the game. Gonna hit you in the soul. Execution is aimed.
So that's a look at Aphex. This is on Netflix. We have Charlize Theron, Taron Egerton, and a brief, I'll not say too much, brief appearance by Eric Bana, the always watchable Eric Bana. So Charlize Theron's just not having the great time on her little kind of extreme, kind of, I don't know, weekend of canoeing. She's trying to get out away from a bit of a traumatic past. Unfortunately, in the Australian wilderness, she happens to encounter Taron Egerton, who may or may not be, as my mum would say, a bad un. Richard, what do you think of this?
I like Charlize Theron. I think she can do action, like she's believable.
I feel there's a butt coming in here. Possibly a big butt.
So I think it's just an average action movie. Like, I think you can put it on, and if you like Charlize Theron, if you like action movies, it'll be fine. But you're not gonna rewatch it in a year, 5 years, whatever. It's a kind of one and done. Like, the film looks great, the action is well handled, well directed, the actors do a good job, but I just don't think there's like enough story or enough originality to the film to really make an impression on someone. Especially, like, I'm an action movie fan, so I love action movies. I want to see new ones that kind of capture my imagination. This didn't do that. Like, the visual effects are pretty good. There are a few times where you're like, wow, that's obviously not real. But a lot of times, like, it's kind of smoke and mirrors, and it does things pretty well. And I think both actors are good. And I, up to this point, have not really cared about Taron Egerton at all. I'm a Charlize Theron fan, but I actually thought they were both good and both played their parts well.
Yeah, I like both actors. I love Charlize Theron. I do love Taron Egerton. My issue with this, you talked about a lack of originality, because it's there. It almost feels like it's kind of an AI-esque kind of script, because I know that's a depressing state of affairs that we find ourselves in 2026. But you see, we've got an opening that's like, oh, it's a little bit cliffhanger, and then we kind of go, oh, we're going into kind of River Wild territory, which, you know, Meryl Streep, and there's probably as close as I can think of as you've seen her in an action movie. I stand to be corrected. But then it kind of throws in this, dare I go as far as to say, Silence of the Lambs-esque element, which just doesn't work. Or maybe there's been something that's been left on the cutting room floor that just would make everything connect that little bit better. But that said, there's some well-executed sequences. I can't fault the performances. I just think it's the dreaded 3-star cinematic meh. So, Bill, you have the cast and vote here. Are you going to say between the three of us, you had a more positive viewing experience, or are you in a similar position to yourselves?
What are the chances? No, I think yous are both. I would say yous are both nailed it on the head. I mean, there's absolutely no surprises to this. Watching it, it's like, you know, the first 5 minutes, it's like, right, I can see how this has been set up. And I have to say, though, the first 5 minutes did give me the heebie-jeebies, because I just don't like heights. And I did get a lot of sense of that when they're climbing up mountains and stuff, you get a wee bit of... But I think you nailed it on the head as well. There's times when you can absolutely tell it's CGI. This is not real. What you're watching is computer generated. I thought it was an okay film. Watched it. It's only an hour and a half, 90 minutes. That's fine. I mean, it is what it is. Charlize Theron, she looks absolutely fantastic at it. She is having an absolute ball in this film. I mean, she gets to go down rivers, she gets to do a lot of underwater stuff.
Can we say she's
Bit of
having a
fighting.
ball, Bill, when she's been
I
chased
think
by
as
a
an
serial?
as an actress of her caliber, and dare I say it, age, she is having an absolute right, an absolute ball in this film.
We'll just clarify, she's having a ball creatively.
Yes, creativity.
But
yes.
from the actual character's point of view, it's not a great time.
But I mean, you compare and contrast this to Wolf Creek or films of that ilk. I mean, it's an absolute poor cousin.
Yeah.
Wolf Creek is an absolute classic in this genre, but I think it is what it is. It's on Netflix. 90 minutes, sticking on, 2 bankable actors. You'll probably enjoy it.
Look, it's fine. As I come back to that, it's a 3-star. We can't call it a cinematic meh. It's a 3-star digital meh. That's as far as we'll go. But look, that is Aphex. It is out there. I think mixed reception there, but I guess you won't be disappointed if you sit down to watch it on a Friday evening. I'm going to move on now and wrap up this week's show. As we mentioned in the introduction, Cineworld, of course, other cinemas are available, have a Spielberg season throughout May, and they're starting things off with Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And I guess if you want to whet your appetite for Disclosure Day, Spielberg's latest, it's going to be out later this year. Perfect opportunity to revisit this feature. Before we talk about it, let's have a look at the trailer.
This is nuts.
So that's a look at the trailer for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Various versions of the film over the years. 1977, if I'm getting that right.
Yep.
Following on from Jaws, we see Spielberg again reteaming with Richard Dreyfuss. And watching it now, it's a film, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we had Brad Mulholland on. We were talking about Stand By Me, how some films can hit different. When you're younger, you watch it for the spectacle. You think of that closing moment, but now you kind of see different things. You see a kind of family, classic Spielberg elements. We see the disintegration of a family. It's a film about obsession. And yeah, again, I think like we were talking about Top Gun, largely I think the special effects hold up. And I will always watch a film, pretty much anything with Richard Dreyfuss. And Bill, I'm going to imagine that over the years, maybe you've carved out some wonderfully weird and wonderful things with mashed potato at your dinner table.
Oh, constantly. You can't have a Sunday dinner without making some shape of some form, you know. I'm getting better over the years. Managed to do a nice recreation of the Mona Lisa in mashed potato. I'll see how far I get. But I mean, you know, you're talking about a scene that is absolutely iconic and has been parodied to infinity. But what always strikes me about this film is it's the last act. The last act is an absolute spectacle. It is beautiful. It's just a combination of those 5 notes.
It's weird when you rewatch it, you do kind of forget that it's very much up until, well, by the time it reaches its conclusion, it's an ensemble piece because there's different stories. And you kind of remember, when I was younger, I always remembered certain bits and I always remembered the end. But when you rewatch it, I kind of had forgotten. And I guess there's also issues there in the fact we talk about the various cuts of the film over the years, special edition, director's cut, etc. But it's up there for me. It's classic Spielberg. As I mentioned, all the elements are in there. And I guess with Disclosure Day, you know, Spielberg himself has muted this. I think the phrase was like, thematically, it will answer some of the questions answered within that film, within Close Encounters, I should say, whether or not, I hope not that it's going to be revealed that it's a sequel. I hope not. Although, hey, if it turns out Richard Dreyfuss is in it, I will happily watch that. But Richard, for you, because I was thinking about this, You and I were both, you and I both attended many, many years ago, I think depressingly a long, long time, more than 10 years ago.
Don't put a number on it, Jim.
Yes, don't put a number. Belfast Film Festival did a screening of Close Encounters on Black's Mountain. And I remember that is the screening I always think of when I think of this film, because again, that finale and having it in very cold conditions, but thoroughly enjoying being kept warm by the power of cinema. Great memories of that, of watching the film there. So I know we are wrapping up, but are you a fan of this? Would you say to someone who maybe hasn't seen it or interested in looking back at Steven Spielberg's back catalogue, if you get the chance to see it in the big screen?
Yeah, this is the dream for any cinema programmer putting together a season or a retrospective. I think Close Encounters is an interesting one because there are so many big Spielberg films. It's maybe a tiny bit underappreciated, I think. And that's the only time I've seen it on a bigger screen, so I haven't seen it in a proper cinema. So I think that would be a great experience. It kind of set the mold for a lot of these kind of films, sci-fi films like Arrival, even Independence Day. I feel like I see Spielberg kind of reusing some of these ideas in his own films, like even Jurassic Park. So yeah, I think it's definitely underappreciated. You used the word obsession, Jim. I kind of love those films where like there's a protagonist and they're just they have some kind of instinctive thing that they know or they want to do, and the people around them don't understand or don't believe them. So I kind of love that. I mean, you can call it a trope if you want, but I kind of love that kind of film. And this is, you know, very much Richard Dreyfuss's character is, very much an obsessive.
Yeah, very much. Un film d'obsession. Just with keeping with the French theme I've been running with this week. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Truffaut's in this film as well.
Of course. I'd forgotten that in the opening sequence and throughout the film. He's there. Great bit of casting there from Spielberg. But so, yeah, as I say, we are out of time. Well worth a watch. And I think it's an interesting time to see the film on the big screen because, as we've mentioned, we have Disclosure Day, which has all that kind of cryptic marketing campaign right now. And it's got Emily Blunt and the lovely Colin Firth. So, you know, that film, we talked earlier on about how Jackass, Bill, had your money already. Disclosure Day has my money for its cinema ticket. So that is us pretty much out of time. So all that is left for me to do now is thank my two guests here in the studio. So thank you very much, Bill.
My pleasure, Jim.
Thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you.
And as always, thanks very much for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode. But for now, until then, goodbye.